Today we're going to look at function domain. Function domain means what possible values can you put into the function. There are three typical functions that have problems: square roots, logs, and fractions. The first thing we will look at is square roots. What's important about square roots is whatever's underneath the root must be equal to or greater than 0. So we will set x plus 2 equal to or greater than 0 and solve our inequality by subtracting 2 from both sides. So the domain in this problem is x is greater than or equal to -2. Again, it's a square root problem. That means whatever's inside the square root, 3x minus 1, must be greater than or equal to 0. We add over the 1 and divide by 3. In this case, the domain is x must be greater than or equal to 1/3. In our last square root example, we will set our 5x plus 1 greater than or equal to 0. Subtract over the 1 and divide by 5. The domain here is x must be greater than or equal to -1/5. These are the possible values you can put into your function. Next, we will look at log functions. For log functions, whatever's inside the log just must be greater than 0. You cannot take the log of a negative number or 0. So in this case, x must be greater than -2 for this function. Again, we set our 6x minus 1 greater than 0. We add over the 1 and divide by 6. The domain here is x must be greater than 1/6. For our last example, we set whatever's inside of our log function, 3x, greater than 0, divide by 3 on both sides to get x must be greater than 0. Our last examples are with fractions. For fractions, we have to remember that we can never divide by 0. A number over 0 spells no, or we can think of it as not possible. So when we're talking about what values we can put in for x, we cannot put in anything that makes the bottom equal to 0. So in this case, we set our x plus 2 not equal to 0. Subtract over our 2, and our domain is x cannot equal -2. In the next example, we set the 3x plus 1 not equal to 0, subtract over the 1, and divide by 3. The domain here is any number, but x cannot equal -1/3. Last example, we take our 4x plus 2 and say that it cannot equal 0. We subtract over our 2 and divide by 4. The domain here is any number except x cannot equal -1/2.